Welcome, boils and ghouls, and prepare to get horrified as we play Horrified American Monsters. I was all set up to have a real good, relaxed game of this, and then my webcam decided to become possessed by, I believe, demons. I don't know, whatever that thing was in the Paranormal Activity movies, I think that's what was in my webcam. So, an hour and a half later, we're going to be doing a bit of a quick game today, but I did want to play this, because Halloween is my favorite holiday. And this is a pretty new release, so not a lot of people have had a chance to play it yet. This is a Target exclusive here in the United States. You can only get this at Target, that lovely French store. So let's get into it. So this video is going to be in a few different sections. It's all going to kind of run together for the live stream, and then it's probably all going to kind of run together for the archived video as well. But let's get into it. So we're going to be playing Horrified today. Horrified is a cooperative game of monsters and not being eaten by them. That's made by Ravensburger. Published by Ravensburger. The original Horrified was designed by Prospero Hall, which, if you're not familiar with Prospero Hall, it is not a person, but it is in fact a collective of game designers that choose to remain anonymous, that work a lot on these kind of mainstream retail shelf games that you might find at someplace like Target. I've previously played Prospero Hall's Choose Your Own Adventure game, and it's actually quite good. And today we're going to be playing Horrified. And actually, Horrified is the original Horrified, as I said, was designed by Prospero Hall. This is a standalone sequel to the game. It is not a standalone expansion. It cannot be combined in any way with the original Horrified, but is a standalone sequel, and it is designed by another person whose name is on here somewhere, I'm sure. Let's take a look inside the box. Here we go. Designer for this one is Mike Mulvihill. Let me fix that. Yep. All right. Mike Mulvihill. All right, so Horrified American Monsters takes the game from its roots, which was in sort of the universal horror monsters, like Frankenstein's monster, Count Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and whatnot, and brings it stateside. Well, I guess some of those movies, maybe they were set in Europe. Brings it stateside, and we're going to be dealing with cryptids in this iteration of the game. Let me just fix this. I do not like to have the autofocus on. We'll turn that off. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is a cooperative game. We are going to be trying to defend a Midwestern town. By we, I mean myself. Not Midwestern town, a sort of Pacific Northwest town. It says it's somewhere in Washington State. From cryptids. You may have heard of Bigfoot, probably the most famous cryptid here in the States. And that is, in fact, one of the cryptids that you might face in this game. But there are many others. So on the back of the board, we have this lovely map that tells us all of the different cryptids we might face and where they are located, as well as an urgent memo from the Federal Bureau of Paranormal Investigation. In this game, you play as agents of the FBPI, or at least people working with the FBPI to take care of this paranormal threat. Are cryptids paranormal? We don't know. So let's go ahead and read this, and that'll kind of give us a sense of the theme. Urgent memo. Citizen, by now you are no doubt aware of the extraordinary circumstances facing the town of Cross Creek. I can confirm the rumors are true. The terrifying events taking place are the result of unrest among cryptids, a powerful and otherworldly group of creatures drawn to Cross Creek by an unknown force. The FBPI has never faced a greater challenge. Our resources are stretched to their max, and we need Cross Creek residents with extraordinary abilities like yours to help us turn the tide and keep the good people of this town safe. You will be tested against some of the most ferocious and terrifying beings imaginable, but we're confident that together we will persevere. There's no time to waste. Meet us at the enclosed location to receive further instructions. You're not just a citizen anymore, you're an investigator. Regards, Dana Cooper, Director. Little wink and a nod there in the name. Okay, so if we flip this bad boy over, we can see the map of Cross Creek. And this is where we will be playing out our creepy cryptid adventure. So this represents the town of Cross Creek. There's many locations on the board, and the basic flow of the game is that the players representing these investigators are going to be running around trying to pick up items from the various locations, and those items will be coming out, every turn, and use them to resolve the specific methods for dealing with each cryptid. So the game comes with 6 creepy cryptids. There is the Chupacabra, that goat-loving maniac from the border. There is the Jersey Devil, the 13th child of a witch. There is the Mothman, who's always watching. There is the Banshee of the Badlands. Don't really have anything else to say about her. There is the... what is this one? Ozark Howler, who can doom you. And, of course, our good friend, Mr. Bigfoot. So, at the beginning of the game, we'll choose between 2 and 4, or maybe even more, of these monsters to come out during play. And they will be trying to hunt us down, and each cryptid has its own sort of gameplay, both what it can do to harm the investigators, and also what is necessary to defeat it. So, as an example, let's pick the one of the ones we won't be using this game, Bigfoot. So, as an example, Mr. Bigfoot has his whole deal is that he doesn't want to be spotted. He wants to remain elusive. And to defeat Bigfoot, you need to obtain photographic evidence that Bigfoot exists. So, as Bigfoot moves around the board, he's going to try to avoid investigators and citizens. Anywhere where people are, he's going to move away from those spots, and he's going to leave behind little footprint markers, and those represent clues of Bigfoot's existence. If you pick up a footprint marker, you can take a photo of Bigfoot, which are these grainy little photographs. And then, as you gather up all those photos. You put them on Bigfoot's board here, and then it becomes one of those sliding puzzles to try to assemble the full image. And each cryptid has its own method of gameplay. So that's kind of like a big part of the replayability of these games. And that's the big difference between the original Horrified, which had the Universal movie monsters, and the new Horrified, which has these cryptids. All of these cryptids have unique gameplay. They're not just rethemes of the monsters from the original game. Most of the other mechanics of the game are pretty much the same as the original, but all of the cryptids are new. So, basically, we're going to be moving around the board, trying to gather items that might be needed to defeat these cryptids, while avoiding the cryptids themselves, because they're going to be coming after the investigators, and escorting citizens of the town to safety. So, citizens might come into play at various points throughout the game, and we are going to be trying to get those safely to whatever location they're trying to get to. They each have like a safe spot that they're trying to reach. And once you do that, you get a nice benefit, and you get to keep it safe from the cryptids. We can win the game by defeating all of the cryptids that are in play. You lose the game if this terror marker gets all the way to the skull icon. And the terror marker increases every time a investigator is killed or a citizen is killed. And unlike many games, you don't have like 10 hit points and the ability to heal. No, one successful attack from one of these cryptids will kill either a citizen or an investigator. Investigators can spend items to defend against the attacks. So thematically, it's like, well, for instance, if you have like a rifle, you might shoot all of the ammo in the rifle to try to fend off Bigfoot as it's coming after you. In which case you avoid the hit. But if one successful hit comes through, your investigator is killed. However, also unlike many other cooperative games, if your investigator is killed, you're not out of the game. They're just sent to the hospital. They might not even use the word killed in the rules. It might be something like defeated or knocked out. It's getting darker and darker in here, it seems like. In any case, we can mess with it later. Okay, so anytime an investigator is KO'd or a citizen is killed, this terror marker moves up 1. If it ever reaches the skull, we lose the game. The other way to lose the game is to run out of time. If you haven't defeated all of the cryptids before the deck runs out, you lose the game. And as I mentioned, you win the game only by defeating all of the cryptids in play. So today, I'm going to be playing a game with 3 cryptids, which is, I believe, the standard difficulty level. We've got several difficulty levels available in the game. The novice is any 2 cryptids, standard is 3 cryptids, challenging game is 4 cryptids. I have found that as much as the number of cryptids in play, the difficulty level of the game is actually influenced almost equally by the number of investigators in the game. And I find having more investigators in play is a more interesting way to increase the difficulty than just adding more cryptids, plus less upkeep for me as a solo player. So we're going to be doing 3 cryptids and I believe 4 investigators. I've done that once before and it was a very tight, nail-bitey kind of game. So hopefully it is the same thing here. So that's just a brief overview, general overview of the game. The components, as you can see, are extremely nice. The artwork is fantastic. There are some typos. This has been well covered in other, videos about this game. I'm not going to get into those, but there's a few typos. In particular, the rules as described for Bigfoot are pretty much nonsensical. So I haven't yet played with Bigfoot because there really isn't any consensus among players how Bigfoot actually works. So we're not going to be playing with Bigfoot this game. Jersey Devil, I played with in my first game. It adds a ton of complexity to the game. So we're not going to be playing with Jersey Devil for this game. So out of the remaining cryptids, we've got the Chupacabra, the Banshee of the Badlands, the Ozark Howler, and the dreaded Mothman. So I believe any of these would make for a good game. I really have a soft spot for the Chupacabra. I've played with the Chupacabra in every single game I've played so far. And I have not yet played with the Ozark Howler. So I'm going to choose, I think, the Ozark Howler for this game. And then I'm going to choose 2 more cryptids. And feel free, if you're watching, feel free to chime in on which cryptids you would like to see. I'll give you like a minute to do that. And we're going to get into the rest of the setup steps of the game. Okay, so there's basically two parts of setup. There's setup for the monsters and setup for the investigators. And you're supposed to do the monsters first, then the investigators. It doesn't particularly make a difference if you do the investigators first before the monsters, except maybe in a few rare cases. So, to start with, very first step is we got to get our terror marker into play. Oh, no, I think I have the terror marker elsewhere. Yes, here we go. Okay, so we have our lovely skull for the terror marker. We're going to go ahead and set that bad boy up here on the 0 spot of the terror track. And I'm going to actually lay it flat so it's easier to see for the camera. And then we're going to get our citizens into play. So we have 13 citizens of the town. And as I mentioned, they're each trying to find a way to their safe spot. So if you can escort a citizen to their safe zone, you get a little reward. So we just have to set these guys up over by the side of the board. And they will enter play as we go through the game. Lucky number 13. There we go. Okay, so nobody's chimed in about which cryptids you want to see in this gameplay video, so I'm going to go ahead and just choose. And I'm going to choose, even though I've played with the Chupacabra every single time, I think I'm going to go for the Chupacabra again and the Mothman, just because I like that the Chupacabra is a very straightforward monster to face. So the next step is gather the monster mats for each individual monster and follow the setup instructions, which are described later on in the rulebook. So each monster has its own setup. So we're going to start with El Chupacabra. It says for the Chupacabra, place the farm overlay on the farm spot of the map. Let me just get these things out of the way here. So I have all of my monster-related components here. And The Chupacabra's farm overlay is here. I'm just going to put it here on the farm space of the map, and that just shows me what I can do that's specific to the Chupacabra in that spot. I'm going to put it right here. Yeah, we'll put it right there. I don't like to cover up the beautiful art, which makes it very hard to actually find the space to put the overlay. And that's all of the setup for the Chupacabra, and then the Chupacabra begins play on the farm as well. So the Chupacabra's gameplay is that he's going to be hunting down livestock and trying to devour livestock on the board, and we have to rescue 6 missing goats before the Chupacabra can get to them, and then we can defeat the Chupacabra itself. All right, and I don't know. Should I do the Banshee instead of the Mothman? No, we'll do the Mothman. All right. So for the Mothman's setup, we go here. All right. It says the Mothman begins play at the motel, and we're going to pull 4 item tokens out of the item bag and place them on the Mothman's sheet. And this shows where the 4, and we'll put actually the Mothman up here. This shows where the 4 traps are for the Mothman. So the idea behind the Mothman is that he moves very, very quickly. And so in order to defeat him, first we have to slow him down by setting 4 traps. And one of these traps is going to be at the campground. Right there. One is at the general store. General store. Right there. One is at the swimming hole. Oh, this is fun. Last time I played with the Mothman, all of the traps were just kind of set up in roughly the same spot on the board. Like I think I had 3 of them up here. And that makes it a little less fun because you have to go to each trap to set it. And then the last one is the item is actually a bear trap. And it's at the cabin. So once again, actually, I have 2. I'm going to actually redraw that just to make it a little bit more interesting. Because I literally had one in the cabin and one in the campground the last time I played with the Mothman. So let's see. Another one at the swimming hole. I don't think we can have 2 at the same spot. Let's see. At the diner. That's a good one. Okay. Okay, where's the last Mothman trap? There it is. Okay. So finally we have one trap at the diner here. I'll put these guys back in the box for now. And then let me see if there's any more steps to setting up the Mothman. Yep. That's it. And it says set the Eye of the Mothman token near the monster mat. And I'm actually going to do a house rule here. Now, this will make the game more difficult for me, but I think it will make it more interesting. So the way that you're supposed to do this is that the Eye of the Mothman starts out of play. And then one of the cards in the monster deck will put the Mothman Eye in play, and then the Mothman becomes much more dangerous. But that makes it a little bit less fun, because you could defeat the Mothman before the Eye of the Mothman ever enters play. So, a suggestion that I've seen online is to just draw a random item and put the Eye of the Mothman there. So in this case, the Eye of the Mothman is going to start play in the bait shop. And the eye of the Mothman sort of represents the evil eye that says that a certain area is doomed. What this means is that the Mothman is going to be drawn to that area in particular. So we want to be careful about hanging out there. But as we play through the game, the Eye of the Mothman might show up in other places around the town. And then we've got the Ozark Howler. Now, I am not familiar at all with the Ozark Howler, having not played this one yet. So let's just go ahead and read through the whole thing for the Ozark Howler. So it says, the elusive and terrifying Ozark Howler marks anyone who sees it for death, making its victim susceptible to bad luck and twists of fate. Setup. Place the abandoned mine overlay on the abandoned mine location. All right, so the Ozark Howler, abandoned mine. Yeah, we'll just put it over there. Okay. That's one thing that, there's a few things about this game that you kind of wonder why they changed it from the original. And one of them is, I believe in the original Horrified, these overlays were actually functioned as overlays. Like they covered up, they duplicated the art of the spot that they covered up. Whereas now they're just kind of these like bland little cardboard tokens that make it impossible to read whatever the art is. Okay, so that was just an aside. So it says, place the abandoned mine overlay on the abandoned mine location. Place the Ozark Howler figure at the trailhead. Trailhead. Oh, it's over here. Turn the 5 Ozark Howler tracker tokens face down and mix them up. Oh, shuffling tokens. Nothing I like better. So the tracker tokens are these little things that kind of look like a Boy Scout badge. And I believe these little skull tokens also belong to the Ozark Howler, so I'll separate those out. There we go. All right, and it says to mix them all up, shuffle them up. And just to show you on the other side of these, we've got an item and a certain strength. Some of them might have more than one color. Okay. And then place 3 of these face down on the Ozark Howler's mat. So we're going to put that right here. And unfortunately, due to the amount of space that my camera can actually capture at one time. Hi, Jimmy. My cat is here. I'm not going to be able to show you the monsters and the investigators. And we'll just set these 2 here to be used later. So the investigators I'm going to have off to the side here. But I think it's better priority for you to be able to see the monster mats. The investigators, you don't really see a whole lot. These tracker tokens will create the trail you need to follow to find this Ozark Howler, because it is elusive and terrifying. Place the remaining tracker tokens face down nearby. Place the death mark tokens next to the monster mat. So I've got these death mark tokens. It says there are 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The elusive and terrifying Jimmy, my cat, is currently chewing on some plastic. All right, and then all of these other components belong to monsters that are not being used in this game, so I can put those back in the bag. Which, at this point, I've forgotten which bag I got these from, so I'm just going to put them in this one. This one's for the Chupacabra. Really, Jimmy? He's eating a dog bone. It's not even a real dog bone. It's like a cardboard dog bone. What is that from? Jimmy. What is that? My elusive and terrifying cat did this. Look at that. Okay, so let's continue reading about the Ozark Howler. So when the Ozark Howler, so in order to hunt down the Ozark Howler, first we have to fulfill all of the advance conditions and then the defeat condition. So usually it's like advance, spend specific items at specific locations in order to do a thing, and then defeat, spend items worth X value, X power, at the monster's location in order to defeat the monster. But you can only do it once you've fulfilled all the advance conditions. So let's see what it says for the Ozark Howler. It says each tracker token has a cost in items to follow the trail of the Ozark Howler. Oh, should I put these face up? No, it says face down. Okay. Use an advance action while at the abandoned mine, which is here, to reveal the next tracker token along the trail. You cannot reveal a new token until the previous token has been resolved. To resolve a revealed tracker token, investigator must be at the abandoned mine and must pay the item cost shown on the tracker token. Once resolved, remove that tracker token from the monster mat, but leave it face up. An investigator may then use another advance action to reveal the next tracker token while at the abandoned mine. So it sounds like you use the advance action first to reveal a token, and then you would need to use another advance action. Although it doesn't say that it's an advance action, it just says investigator must be at the abandoned mine and pay the item cost shown. So that's a bit ambiguous. So defeat, vanquish the beast. Once all tracker tokens have been removed, the trail to the Ozark Howler can be followed. Any investigator at the same location as the Ozark Howler may use the defeat action to spend one token of each color to defeat the Howler. Then power Death Omen. For each power symbol rolled, so basically the way that powers work is when the monsters attack either a player or an investigator, they roll these dice. We've got these 3 attack dice here. In this game, you don't roll dice, but the monsters do roll dice to attack you. So, if the monster attacked me and I rolled that roll, I've got 2 hits and 1 power symbol, which is perfect for explaining what I'm talking about. So those 2 hits would either kill whoever is defending against it, or if it's an investigator defending, I could discard 2 items to survive that attack. But then the power icon still fires. And each monster has their own power ability. So it says, for each power symbol rolled, the target investigator, or if the target is a citizen, the nearest investigator, as determined by the active player, gains a Death Omen. For each Death Omen token an investigator has, they take an automatic hit when a monster rolls to attack them. Apply the Death Omen token first, then any other hits or effects from the dice. They can ignore the hit by using items per the normal hit rules. If an investigator is defeated, return all their Death Omen tokens to the supply. And it doesn't actually say that the Death Omen tokens are removed from the game. No, actually, I think when you defeat a monster, you remove all of its tokens from the game. It says return all the monster's components to the game box, including any tokens. Yeah, okay. So while the Ozark Howler is out, he's going to make all of the monsters much, much more dangerous. So I kind of want to defeat that Ozark Howler first before anything else. And then once I've defeated the Ozark Howler, combat with the monsters becomes relatively safer, although it's never actually that safe. So that is all of the monsters set up, and then we're going to finish setting up the game. Complete setup for each monster. Return all unused monster mats, figures, and tokens to the box. Place the frenzy marker on the monster with the lowest frenzy order. So this is the frenzy marker, and the frenzy marker basically says this monster is more dangerous than the other monsters. Each monster has a frenzy number on it. So this is frenzy 2, 3, and... Oh no! Catzilla! Hey, bud. Say hi. Okay, so this one's frenzy order 2, then 3, then 5. When you set up the game, you set up the monsters in ascending order of frenzy order, and then as monsters get activated, sometimes it'll say the frenzied monster gets activated. So the frenzied monster basically gets activated twice as often as normal, just roughly, probabilistically speaking. I think it's probabilistically speaking. The frenzied monster gets activated twice as often, roughly. So in this game, the Mothman is going to attack us twice as much and move around the board twice as much, which works very well with the Mothman's stated abilities of being super duper fast. Here it says the Mothman is impossibly fast and keenly perceptive, a harbinger of doom drawn to communities facing imminent tragedy and disaster. Whereas the Chupacabra is a voracious desert dweller predator who stalks prey by night and feasts on the blood of animals. It'll stop at nothing to satisfy its appetite. All right, so that is, I believe, all of the steps of monster setup, and then we're going to set up the players, the investigators. So, shuffle all of the investigator ID tiles, which are here. Each investigator gets this really cool, I guess it's supposed to be like a notebook that shows that they are working officially on behalf of the FBPI. And I'm going to shuffle these up, and I'm going to deal out 4 of them, and that's going to be our 4 investigators for this game. All right, cool. And because I don't like shuffling tokens, I'm going to do an additional bit of luck, and every hit rolled, I'm going to discard 1. All right, so 1, 2, and this is going to be our first investigator, the Jock. So each investigator has a special action, and the Jock's special action is he can pick up items from an adjacent location. Normally you can pick up all of the items in your location for 1 action. The Jock can do that from adjacent locations. So I'm just going to put the Jock over here. You might just barely be able to see him, and I'm actually going to put him up here up top. Oh, perfect. You can just barely see that dude. All right, then I'm going to roll again. All right, I'm going to discard 1, and the next investigator is the Mountain Man. I haven't played with him yet. So the Mountain Man's special action is place any investigator in your space. And you'll notice also this number here, that is the number of actions per turn. So this is an action point allowance game, which means that every turn, each player has a certain number of action points that they can spend to do the various abilities. Most abilities cost 1 action each. So The Mountain Man actually has fewer actions per turn, but supposedly being able to place any investigator in your space is an advantage that offsets that. We will find out. All right, 3, 1, 2. Let's shuffle these up again. 3, and the next one is the Journalist. Special action, none. No special abilities, but gets 5 activations per round, which is a really cool to go right after the Mountain Man. And last one, discard 1, and we've got the Psychic. She can place your investigator in any location with another investigator, which is a little redundant with the Mountain Man. Let me see if there's any characters I haven't played. No, I've played all of the other ones. The Agent, the Cryptozoologist, and the Scout are all really cool and really powerful. I'm not sure that it's worth having the Psychic and the Mountain Man, but we'll see. I mean, it's got to be worth it because they're both included in the game. There's only like 7 different investigators in the game. So they must have decided that it was worth including both. Okay. So I've gotten all of the investigator ID tiles. Return any unused ID, investigator standees, and reference cards to the game box. Place each investigator's standee in their starting locations. So the Mountain Man begins in the Ranger Station. I'll put it on its side so you can see it more easily. And I am going to adjust my video because I don't know why it got so dark. Let me see. Let's see here. That one's super bright. Let's just have it like that. The contrast is way too high now. All right. We're going to try this. But now it seems like completely out of focus, though. I wish that I didn't have to do this, like, not only before every video, but in the middle of the video. I think that's the best that I'm going to get. Okay. Apologies if any of that is difficult to read. Let me see. I think I just need a new webcam. Honestly, this is supposed to be a good one, but I've not found it to be that great. I can turn up sharpness all the way. Oh no! It's possessed again! It's that Paranormal Activity dude! Let's see if we can turn him down. All right. We're going to say this is as good as it's getting. Why does it look so blurry? Okay. Yeah, I need a new webcam. But that is neither here nor is it there. It looked a lot better when I was first setting it up. It's that dang auto whatever. Like all of the automatic settings in the webcam, every time they activate, they mess up everything. And it's really annoying. In any case, so everybody starts out in their starting locations. So the mountain man starts out there. The jock starts out at the stadium here. The journalist begins at the tavern, having some drinks with the locals. And the psychic begins at the mansion, doing a reading for some wealthy and extremely gullible person. Then everybody is going to get a perk card. So there's basically two kinds of cards in the game. There's these reference cards, which I'm just going to put off to the side. And then there's perk cards, which kind of look like these little airdrop icons. And those are cool one-time use abilities, and they can be played at any point, even if it's not your turn, similar to Pandemic, which was, I believe, a major inspiration for this game. And then there's the monster deck, or possibly it's called the terror deck or something like that. And that basically says which monster activates every round. And I will show you. For example, this one shows the Chupacabra, and it says the hunger, and it shows a special thing that the Chupacabra does, and that applies only if the Chupacabra is in play. But everything else on the card applies no matter which monsters are in play. So we use the full deck every game, no matter which monsters we're actually playing with. And this is the one that when this deck runs out, we've lost the game. So we have to defeat all of the monsters before that happens. Let's see. I think I'm going to put the monster deck. I'll put these reference cards way up here, where I'm probably not going to need to see them. And again, this is going to be, I apologize, all of these cards are going places where you can't see them. So the one thing that you kind of won't be able to see is which perk cards each investigator has. So we'll show you now. So the jock is going to begin play with an ATV. The mountain man is going to begin play with this sonic safety device. And I believe that this is like equipment that the FBPI is airdropping in to help you defeat these monsters. The journalist is beginning with like a sonar, or like a like in Aliens, little blip things. And the psychic is going to begin play with a lovely signal flare. Perfect. And I'll put all of the rest of the perk cards over here, where they do not need to be seen. And I'll go ahead and put these reference cards over here. Okay, where did I say that this... I believe that the evil eye was beginning in the bait shop. There we go. Now remember, that is not the standard setup for the Mothman. So, we've been playing for roughly an hour. And I've just finished explaining and setting up the game. But now we're going to get into the actual gameplay. Let me just make sure we've done all the steps of setup, which I know we have, but just to check. Oh yeah, actually there's one more step. We're going to get 12 items and they're going to go out into play. So just to explain, before I do this last step, where did I even put the items? This is kind of weird. The items come in this little bag, and I actually can't find the little bag, which is not a little bag. It's a pretty big little bag. It's got to be somewhere. Oh, and here's a Bigfoot token. Can't lose that. Oh, here's the little bag. It blends in with my carpet. Here we go. So this is the item bag. Really, really cool little bag. All of the item tokens go in here. Makes it very easy to shuffle them, which is one of the most annoying things to do in all of board games, shuffling tokens. So we're going to put out 12 items. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw the 12 so I don't have to keep count. Perfect. We got some goats here. So just to review, I went into depth on the Howler. So to defeat the Mothman, we have to go to these 4 spots where the trap tokens are and arm the trap tokens in those 4 spots. Then we can defeat the Mothman by going to his location and spending 10 power of yellow tokens. So these yellow tokens represent weapons, and each has a number on it. That's the power. We add up all of the numbers on the yellow tokens, and it has to at least equal 10, and we can defeat the Mothman. But it has to be on a location with an armed trap, so we have to draw the Mothman toward the traps. Then the Chupacabra, I already mentioned, we need to rescue the goats. So these goats are coming out onto the board, and each item has the location that it starts play. So we randomly drew these items. Now we're going to place them at their locations. So there's a goat at the swimming hole. There's a goat at the cabin. There's a goat at the stadium with the jock. Perfect. There's a goat at the high school next to the jock, which is nice. And there's a goat at the cemetery eating the flowers. So, to defeat the Chupacabra, I have to gather up the goats, then go to the farm and put the goats back in their stable. And once I've done that with 6 goats, I can then spend items to actually defeat El Chupacabra. And that also takes yellow items and a combined strength of 6 or more. So I could, for instance, defeat the Chupacabra with a knife and a helmet. Or I could defeat the Chupacabra with just 1 pistol. And then to defeat the Ozark Howler, first we have to do all of these path tokens, which the way that I read it sounds like it takes 2 actions each. Then we have to go to the Ozark Howler's location and defeat and discard 1 item of each color. All right, so let's get the rest of the items out on the board. There's a handsaw available at the campground. There's a flashlight at the tavern. There's a pocket knife at the gas station. a pistol at the sheriff's station, another pistol at the motel, a helmet at the stadium, and a knife at the gas station. There's a pocket knife and just a knife. The gas station, I think, has a lot of issues with like robberies, stick-ups. So they're well stocked on knives at this gas station. So one thing I like about this game is that there's usually, except for the goats, which are just everywhere, there's usually some thematic connection between the item and where it is. Like, obviously, there's going to be I don't know why there's a pistol at the motel. Maybe Norman Bates works there. But, like, the sheriff's station, obviously, there's going to be a gun there. The handsaw at the campgrounds, that makes sense because you're out in the woods. The goats, I think the goats are just roaming free. I think whoever owns the farm maybe needs to reconsider, do they need goats? Because the goats, every game I've played, are just wandering all over town. And there's Chupacabras about. Okay, I think that's it. We can start the game. So basically the flow of the game is each investigator takes a turn, and because I'm playing solo, I'm going to use an unused one of the monsters to track whose turn it is. Because I found that without that, I very quickly forget. So each investigator takes a turn. They can take their 4 actions, or 5 actions, or 3 actions, depending on the investigator. And then the monsters get a turn. And the monster's turn is just turning over the top card of this deck and doing whatever it says. And usually it's putting out more items, and monsters are activating, which means they're moving toward the investigators and possibly attacking them. Or citizens. The citizens come into play via this deck. You'll see that in a second. And then it's the next player's turn. And so after each player's turn, we get a new monster activation, which is why as you get more investigators, the game generally becomes a little bit more difficult. So let's just start play. So remember, we got to defeat the Mothman, the Chupacabra, and the Ozark Howler. And I know the Ozark Howler is going to make things really difficult if we let him sort of roam free. So even though it's probably the most difficult monster to defeat, I kind of feel like I need to defeat that Ozark Howler first. I need to at least be working on defeating him quickly, because he's going to put these Mark of Death tokens out, and that's going to make all of the other monsters more difficult to defend against. Thematically, he's basically jinxing all of the investigators. So we're going to start with the jock. He's got 4 actions. My available actions are move a citizen, pick up any number of items, share items between investigators, advance a challenge, defeat a monster, or a special action on your ID, which for him is he can pick up items in adjacent locations. However, since he is starting out in the stadium, and that's kind of a dead end, I don't think I'm going to be using that in this round. I do want to pick up the goat and the helmet. And I'll just put those over here. So that's 1 action. I'm going to move him up to the high school. I'm going to pick up that goat. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then actually I might use my ability to pick up an item from an adjacent location, and I'm going to grab the pistol from the sheriff's station. So that was his 4 actions. Then we're going to go see what are the monsters up to. Now the Mountain Man I'm a little concerned about because he's directly next to the Ozark Howler. Where'd my Chupacabra go? Can you go back in the box? Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the Mountain Man because he's right next to the Ozark Howler. So if the Ozark Howler activates this turn, the Mountain Man could be killed immediately before he has a chance to do anything. Which is just how this game is sometimes. So I think before I draw the card, I think I'm going to use his ability, or his perk card he started with, Sonic Safety. Place the Banshee at any location or move any monster 3 locations. So because he's so, what is the word? Exposed, I want to get that Ozark Howler away from him. So I can move the Ozark Howler up to 3 locations. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then it's not adjacent to anybody. Most of the monster activations only move the monster 1 space. Let me just make sure these perk cards, I know they can be played out of turn. I don't think they can be played after drawing a monster card. Let me see. They can be played on any player's turn, not during the monster phase. Okay, perfect. So, I am going to play that Sonic Safety, and we're going to move the Ozark Howler over to the general store a little bit out of the way of everybody. And we're going to flip over the first card, and it's the diner owner. She's trying to reach safety. So first, we're going to resolve the top right, which is we're going to place 3 new items out on the board. Which another goat has shown up in the campground, a fishing pole at the tavern, and a knife also at the tavern. Very lucky for our journalist. And then we do the event on the card only if that monster is in play. In this case, there's no monsters, so it's just a citizen. We're always going to do that. So Nora, the diner owner, has shown up in the diner, and she is looking for help. And then we activate monsters. So at the bottom, it shows the C, which is for Chupacabra, which means the Chupacabra is going to activate, and then the Frenzied monster is going to activate, which in this game is the Mothman. Then after that, for each of those activations, the monster moves 1 space and attacks with 2 dice, and they're only going to roll dice if they actually land on a space with an investigator or a citizen, something that they would want to attack. So we're going to start with the Chupacabra. The Chupacabra is over here on the farm. The farm only connects to the town center, so he's going to move looking for delicious goats to suck. And then the Mothman is going to move, and the Mothman is going to also move 1 space. And the way this works is he's going to move toward the closest investigator. So the closest investigator would be the jock, but he could move to the sheriff's station or the intersection. And in this case, the players get to decide. So strategically, if I move him to the intersection, then that's kind of blocking me off from doing anything else. So I'm going to move him over to the sheriff's station, where I think it's going to be a little bit safer. And neither of them actually reached an investigator or a citizen to attack, so nobody's going to be doing any attacks this turn. Good. And it turns out I did not need to move the Ozark Howler, but it's nice that I did. Okay, now it's the Mountain Man's turn. So I think with the Mountain Man, now I'm kind of regretting moving the Ozark Howler over there. Remember, the Mountain Man only gets 3 activations. But I think with the Mountain Man, I'm going to move here. Now, when you can take a citizen or any number of citizens on your space with you. And then another action you can do is just moving a citizen either to or from your space, to or from an adjacent space. So for instance, if I were here, I could use an action to guide the citizen to me and then move with the citizen over here. But on the citizen itself, it shows where she's trying to get to. Her safe space is the farm. So she's trying to reach the farm. We're all trying to get to the farm to put these goats back in their pen. So that kind of actually gels nicely with what... Oh, I put all of these tokens on upside down. Right? Yeah. So they should all be closed, and then I open them with an action. Yes. Okay, good. So that kind of gels nicely with what I'm already doing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the mountain man down here with one action, move him and Nora over here with two actions. Actually, I'm going to move him down. I'm going to arm that. No. I'm not going to do that. Because he's, like I mentioned, he doesn't have any items. So if he gets attacked, he's dead immediately. So really you want to make sure you grab some items on your first turn in the game. So I'm going to move him down, move with Nora, and I'm going to use my last action to grab the two items at the gas station. So a pocket knife and a knife. And that's the end of his turn. Then we're going to draw the next monster card, which is those eyes. So this is going to be a special card for the Mothman, but first I'm going to draw two new items and put them out on the board. Two goats have shown up, one in the diner and one at the sheriff's station, where the Mothman is. All right, those eyes. Place the Eye of the Mothman token at your location. So the Eye of the Mothman is now moved from the bait shop to the gas station. That means that the gas station is like a doomed location. We want to try to avoid oh, that demon is back. We want to try to avoid the gas station. I'm going to try and fix that. I think it started doing that when I changed the sharpness. So I'm just going to bump down the sharpness just a touch and see if that helps. Okay. And then the monsters activate. And one kind of an odd thing I think about this game, I mean, it's kind of balanced and fair, but it's also it feels a little weird, is that if the monster is shown on the event of the card, the monster almost never activates as well, unless it's a frenzied monster. So in this case, the Bigfoot, the Banshee of the Badlands, and the Ozark Howler would activate. They get one movement and attack with 3 dice. So the Ozark Howler is going to go searching for the nearest investigator to chaw on. And the nearest investigator would be either the journalist or the mountain man. But he's just going to move on to this diner space, and he's going to stop there because he only gets 1 movement. So far I've successfully avoided the monsters, but we'll see. That might not actually continue to happen. All right, now it's the journalist's turn. I forgot to move this down to show that it's journalist's turn. Now, here's an interesting thing. The monsters don't actually do anything except on the monster's turn. So, thematically, the monsters are like lurking in these locations. It's not like the location is like 1 square big, if you're thinking in terms of like area movement on a map. So thematically, the Ozark Howler has arrived at the diner, has not found anybody to chaw on, and so now he's just kind of lurking in the darkness. So I can go to the diner and I can do whatever I want there without any penalty. It's not like I have to defend against attacks to do things there, like you might see in other games. So I'm considering maybe going up there and grabbing that goat. I know what I really want to do, obviously, is grab all of these items here, and I get 5 activations. So let me think about what I got. So I can move up here 1, 2 to get the goat, 3 to come down here, 4 here, and then I would go up to City Hall, and that would be 5. But that puts me right next to the Chupacabra. And one of the downsides of playing with 4 investigators is you have to wait 4 monster activations before you get to go again. So that means potentially 4 chances for the Chupacabra to activate and come attack me. I don't really like those odds. So trying to see if there's anything else I can do instead. So I grab the items, go 1, 2, 3, 4. I go down to the cemetery, but then I'm next to the Chupacabra again. Yeah, I kind of feel like no matter what I do, I'm going to be next to that Chupacabra. So I might as well grab that goat token. And I'm going to not worry about the Mothman for now. Well, actually, do I really even need to worry about the goats? Because I mentioned before, I want to take care of the Ozark Howler first, because he's going to make things difficult for everything. So could I maybe grab the items and ignore the goat and move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Actually, I like that. And then I'm going to be much closer to the trailhead where the Ozark Howler can be. I can advance toward defeating the Ozark Howler. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab the fishing pole, the knife, and the flashlight that are at the tavern. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm up at the cabin. There's a goat here. There's some items up here. And I'm right next to the abandoned mine where I can start working on defeating the Ozark Howler. And I'm not next to any monsters. So let's see which monster activates this round. The Recluse. So this is another citizen card. These are generally good. These are generally easier to deal with. Except in this case, we can see down at the bottom, Mothman's going to activate, then the frenzied monster is going to activate, which is also Mothman. So first we're going to get 3 items out on the board. A goat at the... I grabbed 4, so let's start again. All right. Protective vest at the ranger station. A pig is going to show up at the bait shop. I think that's the owner's pet. It's like a potbelly pig. And wolf is going to show up at the cabin right next to my journalist. And then Mr. Cash has shown up at the mansion. Mr. Cash, according to this, is a recluse. And let's see where he's trying. He's trying to reach the hospital. So he says, I will be safe. You can take me to the hospital. I've broken my leg, so you got to help me there. But take me to the hospital. I'll reward you. And then activation. So Mothman is going to activate twice, which is bad for me. He's going to go after the nearest investigator, which is the jock. He's going to move 1, and he's going to attack the jock with 2 dice. And that's 1 hit. So the jock has to discard an item to defend against this attack, or choose not to discard any items and just be defeated. But in this case, I'm going to discard my helmet, which is a yellow item that's worth 3, to defend against the attack. And that's just going to go over here. I can put it back into the bag once I've run out of tokens. And then the Mothman, being frenzied, goes again, is going to attack the jock again, and with another hit. So I can discard the pistol, or I could discard one of these goats. And even though I'm trying to use these goats to defeat the Chupacabra, I can see there's a lot of goats out on the board. And I don't want to discard a pistol with strength 3 or 6 if I can avoid it. So I'm going to take this goat and put it back. So I have successfully defended myself against the Mothman's attack. First, I used my helmet to kind of like absorb the blow, and then I just threw a goat at it. I think that's exactly what happened. No? Oh. All right. And then the psychic gets to go, and her cool special ability is she gets to place her investigator in any location with another investigator. So as much as I want to save Mr. Cash here, I think I want to move directly over to where the journalist is and start working on the Ozark Howler. So I'm going to go 1, And I'm going to grab the wolf and the goat. That's 2. 3. Oh, yeah, and it makes it explicit here. For the Ozark Howler, I can either reveal the first token or turn in the requirements. So that's separate actions. So I moved over to his space, and I can't take Mr. Cash with me because it says place your investigator. Placing an investigator is not the same as moving. So I move over to him, grabbed the goat and the wolf from the cabin, went over here, and I'm going to reveal this first token, which I believe is this one down here, number 1. So the first one we need is 7 or more combined strength of blue items. That's going to be a little tough because it looks like the journalist has 5. The mountain man has 1. So just between the two of them, that's not even 7. But there's a handsaw over here. So actually the journalist on his next turn can do that. He can go 1, grab that, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, it's time for the monster phase. So everyone has now had a turn. And Josie the farmer has shown up, which is actually really bad. Josie, go back inside. Come on. So first we're going to put out 3 items. 1, 2, 3. A flashlight at the high school. Walkie-talkie at the ranger station. A rifle at the mansion. And then Josie says, "What's all this racket out here?" And she comes out to investigate. And that means she is now prime rib for the Chupacabra here, right next to his home base. So he's probably going to come after her next round, next time he activates. And then it says the Ozark Howler activates and the Frenzied Monster activates. So that's Ozark Howler and then the Mothman in this game. They move 1 and roll 2 dice. This is really bad. Maybe it was not a good strategy to go after the Ozark Howler first. Even though he makes everything else harder hitting, he himself is really difficult to defeat. That's a lot of actions, plus all of the requirements. I think the Mothman's probably the easiest one to defeat out of all of these. But then if I defeat the Mothman, the Chupacabra is going to become frenzied, which is not good either. Okay, so Ozark Howler is going to go first. He looks around. He sees there's a mountain man over here. So he's going to go over to the mountain man, and he's going to attack with 2 dice. Oh, and Josie the farmer is trying to get to the swimming hole down here. And he got 2 hits against the mountain man. So the mountain man can either die, or he can discard all of his items. The pocket knife and the knife. So he's going to do that. Discard his items to defend against the hits. But I didn't roll any power tokens, which is good. And then the Mothman is going to keep wailing on the jock here. And he got 2 hits as well. So the jock can either be defeated, which is he gets to keep his items and he goes to the hospital, or he can discard his 2 items. And in this case, I think I'm going to discard the 2 items. And now the jock is defenseless. Oh, this is bad. Bad. Okay. So, we're back to the jock's turn. Let's see. So I think what I'd like to do is go over to the Ozark Howler's space, just so that the mountain man... so if the Ozark Howler activates again, the mountain man doesn't get defeated. So I think I'm going to make sure I end my turn there. And remember, he can pick up items from adjacent locations. So I could grab this goat, move up, grab the pistol, and then move over to the gas station. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to grab the goat from the sheriff's station, move up to the intersection, grab the pistol from the motel, and move over to the gas station. So now, if the Ozark Howler happens to activate on this next card, the jock can step in and defend. Oh, and it is going to be the Ozark Howler and Mothman again. All right, so the teacher is going to show up, Mr. Melvin. But first, we're going to get 3 more items. So a goat has shown up at the ranger station, which is now looking really nice. Binoculars are at City Hall. And a wolf is at the cemetery. It smelled that goat there. And then Melvin has appeared. That's Gus. Where's Melvin? Melvin has appeared at the high school, which unfortunately is right where Mothman is. Oh no! And he says, what's all this? What's going on here? And the Mothman swoops in and is actually going to defeat poor Melvin right now. But first we're going to activate the Ozark Howler, just as I feared, with 2 dice, and we're going to have him attack the jock. And no hits, which is perfect. But then the Mothman's going to activate. Now, he would go after investigators, but since there's a citizen who's closer, he's going to go after the citizen first. They always go after whoever's closest, and in a tiebreaker, they go after investigators before citizens. So he's going to attack Mr. Melvin. And if he rolls any hits, Mr. Melvin is doomed. Let's see what happens. Yes, he rolled 1 hit. So the Mothman swoops in, and Mr. Melvin is taken out of the game. So we'll just make a little cemetery over here. Poor Mr. Melvin. And that bumps up the terror track by 1. So we are now 1/7 of the way toward losing the game. All right. And it is the Mountain Man's turn. So I think the nice thing to do here would be to move, to get away from where the Ozark Howler is. And I can then take my... and then use the Mountain Man's ability to bring the jock to me. Now, do I need to go up to where the abandoned mine is? I don't think so. So I know that Nora wants to get to the farm. And then once I get to the farm, Josie wants to go to the swimming hole. So I think I'm going to try to move generally in the direction of the farm. But we're going to go like this. 1, 2, like that. And then the third action is, oh, it says place your investigator in any space. No wonder. I don't know. I thought I must have read that completely wrong. So the Mountain Man actually is a very powerful ability. He can place his investigator anywhere on the board, which is really cool. And he can do that multiple times per turn. No wonder he has only 3 activations. So in that case, I'm going to leave the jock here with Nora. Oh, I thought I was going to be able to move investigators to his space for some reason. I think I got like dyslexic and I thought it said place any investigator in your space. But this is actually way better. So he's going to use his knowledge of the secret paths around Cross Creek. He's going to go up here and grab that goat and all that good gear. And then he's going to go down here to the farm in case the Chupacabra comes after Josie here. And we're going to The grease monkey. Okay, so Gus is coming into play at the gas station. But first, we're going to get 3 items. 1, 2, 3. A protective vest at the sheriff's station. A lantern also at the sheriff's station. There's a typo that says it's the police station, but it is the sheriff's station. And a deer at the swimming hole. And then Gus shows up at the gas station, which is same place as Nora, which is actually kind of good. Because then I can move both of them at the same time. And he's trying to get to the bait shop, which is down here, which is kind of good as well, because that's a similar area to where Nora is going. So if I can survive the activations before the jock gets to go again, then that's going to be pretty nice. Oh, dear. I'm trying to decide if I need to do something to move the Ozark Howler away. I can... Oh, yeah, and then we get monster activation. So the Frenzied monster activates. That's the Mothman, and he's going to move 1 space and then attack with 2 dice. So he was here, I believe, at the high school. So he's going to move toward the nearest investigator, which is either the jock or the journalist. Either way, he's going to move up to the intersection and doesn't get to attack anybody there, which is nice. Okay, and it is now the journalist's turn. So the journalist is going to do exactly what I said. He's going to go up to the campground. He's going to grab this goat and the handsaw. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's going to use the advance action on the abandoned mine to discard 7 strength worth of blue tokens. So we've got a handsaw that's worth 3, a fishing pole that's worth 3, and a flashlight that is worth 2. So he's going to use this flashlight, fishing pole, and handsaw to get on the trail of the Ozark Howler. And hopefully more of those trail tokens don't come out. I think maybe they might, because it said to keep them, set them aside face down. All right, and that was his whole turn. So nothing else to do right now. So we're going to put this over here on the psychic. And we will draw the next one, which is Always Waiting. That's a Jersey Devil. So the Jersey Devil's not in the game, so we ignore the event portion, but we still put out items, and we still do monster activations. So 2 items are coming out. A torch in the cabin, and a walking stick at the resort. And then the Chupacabra, the Ozark Howler, and the Mothman. All 3 of our monsters are activating, which is not so nice. So we're going to start with the Chupacabra. He's going to go, I smell flesh. And he's going to go over here to the farm, and he's going to go attack the monster, the mountain man. With 2 dice. Come on, come on. 1 hit. So I'm going to discard the I'm going to discard the protective vest. Even though I need yellow tokens to defeat both the Mothman and the Chupacabra. There's more yellow tokens that... I don't know. I'm just going to discard the one that has the lowest power. But he didn't roll any power symbols, which is good. And then the Ozark Howler is going to attack the jock at the gas station. Again, rolling 2. Please, please don't roll any power symbols. He rolls 2 hits, though, which means the jock has to discard both of his items to avoid being killed. And then the Mothman goes. And the Mothman is going to go over here to the gas station and attack again, which means the jock might very well be knocked out here. Let's see. Come on, please don't get sent to the hospital. Please, 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 roll no hits. Oh no, 1 hit. So he always attacks an investigator if there's an investigator in the space. So the investigator gets knocked out, sent to the hospital. Actually, he's going to get removed from the board. And we move the terror track up 1. So on the jock's next turn, which is actually now, if he could have just survived 1 more turn, we would have been okay. He's going to go to the hospital and he gets his full turn. So it's not like you miss a turn or anything like that. But that leaves Gus and Nora at the gas station with both of these monsters defenseless. So that is not very good. Huh? Hi, pup. Hi, pup. What's up? Oh man, that was a very unlucky draw, because if the Mothman had not activated, we would have been perfectly fine. But now he's going to show up at the hospital, and he gets his normal 4 moves. So in this case, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2. He's got an ATV, which is going to let him move, or any investigator move, an extra 4 spaces. So I think I might kind of want to use that ATV on this turn just to get Nora and Gus out of danger. But I have to get him to their space first, which is 3 movement on its own. And then he doesn't really have any activations left for grabbing items. So I think what I'm going to do is going to go 1, grab the goat, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to use the ATV. All right, hop on Nora and Gus, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and drop off Nora at the farm. Let's see, I have a graveyard down here. Thematically, it does, or mechanically, it doesn't make any difference. But just thematically, I'm going to place my rescued citizen face down over here, I think. All right, so as soon as Nora gets to the farm, she rewards him with another perk, which is Shelter. Skip the next monster phase. Draw and place 2 items from the bag. Really nice. And then I can still move 1 more space. And we'll take Josie and Gus, and we'll move over to the town center. And I think that makes for a pretty nice turn. So Chupacabra could still activate and attack the mountain man. But everyone else is pretty safe. Now the Ozark Howler and the Mothman are here with nobody nearby. So the Chupacabra is really the only threat now, which I think made it a pretty good use of that ATV. All right, let's see what the next activation is. The Councilman placed Jimmy at City Hall. So Jimmy, unfortunately, is wheelchair bound. And he's unfortunately right next to... right next to the Mothman and the Ozark Howler. And we get 3 new items coming out. The pickaxe at the campground, the fishing pole at the bait shop, and a bear trap at the cabin. And then we get 2 activations, both of the Mothman. The Mothman is obviously going to go directly after Jimmy. So, going to go down here. He gets 1 movement and 1 die. Come on, don't roll any hits. Oh no! Well, he rolled a power, which is actually... I mean, it's not any better. So the power for the Mothman is move the Mothman along the shortest route to the eye of the Mothman, attacking everyone in its path. In this case, that's neither better nor worse. He gets one hit for every power he rolled, so he's going to move back to the eye of the Mothman, but he's going to do a hit on every space he moved through, which I believe includes Mr. Jimmy here. Jimmy has been taken out of play the very turn he appeared, and the terror marker is now one space further. And then the Mothman's going to activate again, but there's now nobody else nearby. So he's going to go after the nearest investigator, which is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So he's going to go down to City Hall. Okay, the Mountain Man's turn. So the Mountain Man is on the space with the Chupacabra. He's going to go ahead and deposit this goat back in its pen for one action. Then he can do anything. He can go anywhere on the board. Where does he want to go? I think I want to go away from monsters, but if possible, I'd like to kind of draw the monsters away from other characters. So, would it make sense to go to the high school? I think it might. Yeah, because the jock's not going to get to go again for a while. So I think he's going to then move all the way over here to the high school. And he's going to grab a flashlight. I don't know. Then he's kind of fodder for both of those guys, but we'll see. I mean, I could give him 2 additional actions. Actually, I think I might do that. So he started out here. He put a goat back in its pen. And we're going to use On the Trail to give the current player 2 additional actions, which is way better to use on the Mountain Man than anyone else. So now he's got 5 actions this turn instead of just 3. He's already used 1. So he can, for instance, go... 2, 3... then 4, 5. And now he's got a big stock of items that he can use to defend against these monsters. And he's the nearest human to any of the monsters, except for the Chupacabra. So he's in a pretty good position until his next round. Good. We'll do the next monster activation, sure. All right, the doctor. Place Dr. Chalice at the hospital. First, we need to put out 3 items. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so a goat has shown up at the town center, which is, I believe, right here, where everybody is. A map at the gas station. And poison at the general store. Then Dr. Chalice is at the hospital. She's trying to get to the stadium. And Bigfoot would activate, but he's not in play. So the Mothman activates. So he's got a choice. He can go down to where the jock is, or he can go over to the high school where the Mountain Man is. I'm going to have him go over to the high school. And he gets to roll 1 attack this turn. And it was a hit, but I stocked up the Mountain Man with all sorts of nice goodies. So he's going to use the flashlight, shine it right in the Mothman's evil eye, and defend himself against that attack. And it's the journalist's turn. All right, perfect. Okay, so the journalist's first action, he's going to take a peek and see if we can figure out what's the next step on the trail of the Ozark Howler. It looks like any blue and any brown item. So he's got a brown item. He doesn't have any blue items. So he can't really do this. So that's one action. I mean, I could have him go somewhere and get a blue item, but I'm debating using my signal flare instead. Come on, come on. What am I going to do? Because if I use my signal flare, it says choose a location with an investigator, place any number of investigators at that location. So I could, for instance, put the psychic and the journalist at the same location as the Mountain Man, and then I could grab those blue items from the Mountain Man, or at least one of them, in a trade. And I believe a trade is two-sided. So you may trade. Let me see what trading items. Share. All investigators on the same location as your investigator may freely exchange any number of items with each other. That's actually more powerful than I've been playing it. So that means no matter how many investigators are at the same location, they can all give or take any number of items, which is kind of cool. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to use the signal flare, which the psychic has. And we're going to move everybody down here, which does not take an action to do. You know, before I do that, yeah, I don't know. So that was one action, and 2, 3, 4, 5. But then the share is its own action. So I think before I do that, I'm going to, and they're both here. I'm going to move over here to 3 and grab these 2 yellow items. And then play that card. Everyone goes here. That doesn't count as an action. And then 4 to share. And we'll just grab the fishing pole from the Mountain Man. We'll give him, let's see, I think I needed a blue and a brown. We'll grab the pig and the fishing pole from the Mountain Man. We'll give him the goat. We'll give him the other goat from the psychic. He can keep the walkie-talkie. We'll give the bear trap to the psychic, just so she's got a couple of items. And we'll give the Mountain Man we'll give the Mountain Man the bear trap and the torch to the psychic. And so everyone's got a few items there. So that's 4 actions, and then the 5th action is going to be move back 1 space toward the abandoned mine. Now, just because I happen to have all of the investigators either on a space or directly next to a monster, I think I'm going to use my Gimme Shelter perk card. Skip the next monster phase, draw and place 2 items from the item bag instead. So we're going to do that. So the baseball bat is at the stadium, and then the camera at the resort. And then it's the psychic's turn. So she can go anywhere with an investigator for her special action. So I think she's going to go grab the stuff from the sheriff's station. Or should she just ignore that? I think what she wants to do is start escorting some citizens around. So if she goes down here for one action, what is there? A goat. And Josie's trying to get the swimming hole, and Gus is trying to get to the bait shop. I think that's what, I think she's going to start getting some citizens to safety. So she's going to go 1, use her ability to go over here to where the jock is. 2, and she's going to bring Josie and Gus with her. 3, she's going to guide Gus to the bait shop, which means he's now been rescued, and we get a new perk card. He says, thank you. I know I'll be safe here. So we got another on the trail. It's going to go to her, although it doesn't really matter since we're playing solo. Anybody could play the card at any time. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, she's going to the resort. And so now she's set up to take Josie to the swimming hole, grab these items that are over here, arm this trap for the Mothman, and our good friend the Jock is set up to grab the goats and bring them over to the farm for the Chupacabra. So we're good as long as the monsters don't completely wipe the floor with us on this activation. Let's see what happens. Haunted music. So this is a Banshee event. There's no Banshee in the game, so we don't do anything, but 0 items come out, and let's see, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Mothman are activating. So Bigfoot's not in the game. Chupacabra is going to go, I smell goats, and come over here. And he's going to attack with 2 dice against the Jock, who only has 1 goat to defend himself with. Did not think this one through. Come on. Oh, no! Actually, that's fine. So when the Chupacabra rolls a power symbol, for each power symbol rolled during a Chupacabra's attack, remove 1 brown item, those are all animals, from anywhere on the board. So in this case, it looks like I've got goat, goat, wolf, goat, deer. We'll just go ahead and remove the deer. So the Chupacabra, somehow, with his voracious appetite, has eaten that deer, and he's also devoured the goat that my Jock was protecting. But that sounds wrong. The goat that my Jock was protecting. Anyway. But my Jock is still standing. Okay. And then the Mountain Man is going to get attacked by the Mothman. The Mothman's going to roll. Please don't roll a power symbol. All right, he rolled 2 hits, which is technically just as bad. So we've got a bear trap, a walkie-talkie, and 2 goats. I think we're going to discard the bear trap and the walkie. And we'll hold on to the goats, hopefully, to be able to bring them back next time to where the Chupacabra is. And then that was the end of the monster phase. It's the Jock's turn. Things are heating up. So the Jock, remember, can grab items from any adjacent locations. He's going to grab the wolf and the goat from the cemetery for 1. He's going to grab... He might as well just grab the binoculars for 2. He's going to grab the... No, he's actually not going to grab the goat for 3. He's going to move for 3. Then he's going to place one of the goats back on the farm for 4. Now, I believe that he can only do it once. That's what it says on the token. Place the goat token on an empty spot. So that's 1 goat token per action. All right. 4. All right, perfect. I think we're good. And then the monster phase. Come on. No place is safe. Move the Chupacabra. Oh, so first we're going to put out some items, but then this is a Chupacabra location. Chupacabra card. All right, so a horse has shown up in the mansion, and a shovel has shown up in the town center. So that's exactly why I didn't grab the goat, because now on his next turn, the jock can grab the goat and the shovel for one action. No place is safe. Move the Chupacabra to the furthest location with a brown token and remove that token. So actually, this is kind of nice. Except it looks like he's probably going to kill Mr. Cash on his next activation. Because I think the furthest location with the brown token, because the horse just showed up and the Chupacabra is like, I smell horse meat. It's outlawed. If you outlaw horse meat, only outlaws will eat horse meat. So there's this goat over here, which is 1, 2, 3 steps away. And the horse, I believe, is farther. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So he's going to go. He's going to devour that horse. And now he's set up to also devour Mr. Cash if we don't stop him. And then the Banshee, Ozark Howler, and the Mothman are going to activate. So we'll start with, but they only roll 1 die, which is nice. Start with the Ozark Howler. He's going to move to the closest human, which is our journalist. Going to roll 1 die, and he's not going to roll any power symbols. Come on. All right, he rolled a hit, which is acceptable. Let's see. I'm going to need a brown and a blue, so we're going to discard the knife to defend. And then the Mountain Man is getting attacked by the Chupacabra, which is also a hit. Oh, no, the Chupacabra, the Mothman. The Mountain Man is getting attacked by the Mothman. And he's got 2 goats. So he's going to discard one of those goat tokens. All right. Speaking of the Mountain Man, it's now the Mountain Man's turn. Okay. What does he want to do? I think he wants to go up to where the Chupacabra is and defend Mr. Cash. So we're going to go 1, 2, grab some more items. 3, use his knowledge of secret paths to move up to the mansion. And I could use On the Trail to give him 2 additional actions, which would let me pick up that rifle and start moving Mr. Cash. Where's he trying to go? Mr. Cash, oh, he's going to the hospital. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would, if I don't pick up the rifle, that puts him in a pretty safe position where it would take multiple monster activations for anyone to get to him. So I'm going to do that. 4, 5. And bring Mr. Cash to the diner, and we've discarded our perk again. And the journalist is going next, so... Oh, this is bad. If the journalist gets attacked, he's going to lose his tokens that I just worked so hard to give him. But there's nothing I can do. Just draw the card and hope for the best. Okay. Okay, it's a Banshee event. It looks like Chupacabra and Mothman are moving. So possibly the journalist is going to get attacked, but let's see what items we get. Okay, a pickaxe at the ranger station, a compass at City Hall. All right, the Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Mothman. So first, Chupacabra is going to move over here to the ranger station, and then Mothman's going to move up here to the closest location with a person, and he's going to attack our journalist, and he's going to roll no hits. Please. 1 hit. I'm going to discard the swimming pool because I can then get this map. All right, we're good. Yeah, this is still acceptable. Okay, so the journalist's turn. He's going to go to the gas station. 1. He's going to grab a map. 2, 3, 4. I think he's going to go over to the campground. 5. And the reason why is that sets him up to open up that trap. And when the Mothman... I hate that the traps are placed in these random spots on the board that are like out of the way. Or they can be out of the way. Like almost every trap on this board is a dead end. And the whole point of the trap is that it stops the Mothman's movement. But these are all dead ends that he would never move into unless he was ending his movement there. So the traps are basically meaningless, except that you need them to defeat the Mothman. Yeah, I think I'm going to move him up there. And then... yeah, I think that's going to be a little better. But we'll find out. All right, let's see what happens next. Those eyes. Ooh, that's real bad. All right, the eye of the Mothman has just moved to the campground. We get no items, but only the Ozark Howler activates. He's going to move toward the closest human, which looks like it is our journalist. And that's all. Luckily, he didn't get to attack. All right, just to show you, we are, I'd say, about halfway done with this deck. These are all of the cards we've already drawn, so it looks like a roughly halfway. So that's one of our lose conditions, remember, and also the terror is the other one. And I have to say, unfortunately, we're going to have to go in just a minute here. I got to pick up my daughter from school. So let's grab daycare. So let's grab the psychic. Let's do her turn, and then we'll probably put the game on pause. And I'll come back in the evening. Unless the game ends before then. We'll see. I could just have a disastrous turn and the game ends. So the psychic is going to move to the swimming hole. So she takes Josie to safety, which means she gets a perk. Shelter, skip the next monster phase. Very nice. Definitely worth having. She's going to go 1. Actually, she's going to go 1, 2, 3. And actually, for her first action, before she moves, she's going to grab these. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So she's opened up that next trap. Oh, and when we open up a trap, I don't know why this is set up this way. I don't know why you don't just put these back in the bag. Maybe it's so it's more obvious where the traps are. But we put this token that was at the traps location back in the bag. So we've armed. Is that the first trap that we've armed? Let's see. There's one at the general store. Yeah. I believe that is... There's one at the diner, and there's one up here. So that is the first trap that we've armed. So this torch goes back in the bag. All right, let's see what happens. She's well prepared to defend against monsters now. All right. Stalking their prey. It's the Chupacabra. So we're going to get 2 items. A goat at the mansion and a lantern at City Hall. So, stalking their prey, move the Chupacabra to the nearest location with an animal and remove that token. So, he smells, there's a goat over here at the mansion. He's going to remove that token. And then we get our activations, which is going to be just the Ozark Howler. He's going to go over here to where the journalist is, and he's going to attack with 2 dice. Our first Doom token. All right, so I think that we resolved the hits first. Let's see. It doesn't actually say. It says, for each power symbol rolled, the target investigator, or if the target is a citizen, the nearest investigator is determined by the active player, gains a Death Omen token. For every Death Omen token an investigator has, they take an automatic hit when a monster rolls to attack them. Apply the Death Omen token first, then any other hits or effects from the dice. So I think it says that you get the hit when the monster rolls. So since he's already rolled, I don't think it applies to this turn. So he does get a Death Omen, which is not very nice. And he gets 1 hit as well. So he has to discard either the pig or the map. So at this point, I'm actually going to just have him stay up there, and the psychic is going to go there and take care of the Ozark Howler. This is a disaster. So we're going to have him discard the map, because that's the weakest of the 2. And then it's going to be the jock's turn next. And he's going to be able to continue putting goats out. It looks like he's going to go grab those tokens, put the goats. Then the mountain man is going to go take Mr. Cash to the hospital, take Dr. Chalice somewhere. The journalist is going to go open up the thing, get the pickaxe, move over to the abandoned mine. Then the psychic is going to go, finally, assuming that the journalist hasn't been killed by then, and she's going to move up to the abandoned mine. What I should have done way back when I used my flare is I should have moved, instead of moving everybody to down here to the mountain man space, I should have moved everybody up the mountain man up there so that we could have spent those items immediately. That was really dumb. I think I must have been like defending citizens or something at that point. Oh, this is no good. It's no good at all. But in any case, we're going to have to put a pause on the game now. Things are looking dire for the town of Cross Creek. That's all I'll say. And we're going to come back this evening, and we're going to finish this up. Oh, man. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you like what you saw, you can always subscribe, but feel no pressure to do so. I'm mainly doing this for, it's nice to be able to talk while you're playing a game. All right, ciao. See you later.